Hey there, everybody. Welcome. We are going to be going live very soon in our YouTube and also Facebook. So bear with me for just a bit while I get our setup across all the platforms. There are easier ways to do this, but I'm not that techie. And so just bear with me for just a little bit. Let's just get this on all the different places. It's also in our Beyond Limits with Ralph Havens group and our Beyond Limits with Ralph Havens page. So look for that. Healing session, miracles, magic, and coffee. Ralph, and Dr. Tom. Okay. Share that. And we'll do one more share. And then we're set to go. Got a request out to Dr. Tom G. Mateo, and we'll see if what he thinks of this. I've got an idea for the show, and it's something that you could have a change even from the chair you're sitting in right now. So so hopefully we do that with him. Sometimes he gets a little busy and doesn't make it to the show, but usually he does. We've been doing this for, man, probably a few years now. So he's got something big coming up this weekend in winter school, integrated manual therapy winter school for practitioners. So if you're a practitioner, let me know, and I can point you to that. That's just for practitioners, but this show is for everybody that has any health challenges, any stuff going on. Well, let me do one more thing. Let's see, YouTube. Sorry about this. Let's see, so we're gonna go YouTube. I get one more thing and put it into the web page for Miracles, Magic, and Coffee. So hang on for just a little bit. We're barely 10:15, so we're doing good. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, let me just grab this and stick it here. There, that is in. We are good. I'm going to go ahead and share this link too. So if you want to know when we're on for these Miracles, Magic, and Coffee, let me know. This is a show about healing. So the question is, how do you finally get over autoimmune conditions, anxiety conditions? If you're an entrepreneur, imposter syndrome, how do you get over physical and also mental, emotional, spiritual issues, even if you've already tried everything else? That's the question. And this show is all about the answers, so you can heal yourself and heal the world. So welcome. My name is Ralph Havens. I've been doing healing work for 35 years. And back in February of 2000, I met Sharon G. Mateo and Tom G. Mateo, and it's been quite a ride ever since. And some of the things that I've seen in the healing world have just been truly amazing. So I'd love to hear from you what you're dealing with and what you're going through and what you would like. And so this is the show. We're gonna do something for your healing. So if you want to have an experience, what you might want to do so that you would know if something changed for you is to test something. So it's really good to test before and after what you're feeling, what you're noticing. And let me send this one more time to Tom. And so by that I mean walk around a little bit, test your neck, move your neck, move your body around. Check your arms and your shoulders. Check your back. Do a little test. If you have a certain condition or a problem, think about it a bit and what would it be like for that to change for you? And do a few things to test yourself. And then at the end of this time, we'll be on for about 30 minutes or so, maybe a little bit more. You can retest. And whether you're watching this live or later, you can notice what you notice and notice what's different for you. And so that's the show. Now I'm gonna see if Tom is coming on. Let me just check my email real quick. And let's see what's going on. Okay, so I don't have a message that he's not on, so he should be on any minute now. So, and I'll go pull up our YouTube. YouTube. Okay, so if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click subscribe, click like, share this for other people if you find it interesting and useful. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and click like, heart. Let us know where you're from and what kind of problems you're dealing with, what kind of things you would like to heal, and we'll go about doing some stuff today. So let me just pull all this up so I can see where everybody is. The Beyond Limits group on Facebook is good, and also there we are. And also the YouTube group. Let me just check this real quick. Okay, so we are good to go. All right, so let's just see where Tom is. No Tom yet. So what I'm going to do is do a little something while we wait for Tom, and I'd love to hear what you notice that's different. So we're just going to go ahead and do it. Instead of talking about it, instead of talking about the physics of it, or how healing works, or how can healing work at a distance, or how can healing work even if somebody is watching this later? What you might want to do is just truly, really test something for yourself, and then let's see what's different. And I'm going to use a little surrogate. And by that, I mean my friend Yoda here. I love using Yoda. And the story of how Yoda came to be is kind of cool. My friend Kim Burnham, PhD in integrated medicine, she gave me Yoda one day when she used to work in our clinic in San Diego, and she would come every 3 months. She would come and work with us for 2 weeks and stay with us. And it was always a learning thing and always just amazing. So we're going to put Yoda as a surrogate for you. And we're going to take you from where you are to where you want to be. So here's where you are. And then I'm going to move right here to where you want to be. And what I'm going to do is just notice what I noticed, and I'll give you the play-by-play in just a sec. Yeah, so we're going to go 1 point here and 1 point there. Okay, and let's see how we're doing. So here's Tom, and hey, Tom.
Hi, Ralph.
Good haircut, man. I like it.
Thanks.
I brought my friend Yoda here as a hangout buddy.
Good.
I was it was way back. I think it was around 2009, and Kim Burnham, when she left the Connecticut area, she was it might have even been when she was still in Connecticut, but we talked and we ended up having her come out every 3 months to work with us in our clinic for 2 weeks, and she would stay with us, and it was really fun. And she always brought me a present, and this guy was in the airport in some place that she was, changing planes, and so she brought me Yoda, and it was a cool time. So I thought I'd bring Yoda into the picture. So yeah, I don't know if you got my message. I have all sorts of ideas, but I know winter school is coming up. Anything in particular that you'd like to talk about, or any ideas? And we can go from there.
You are recording in live already, right?
I'm recording. Yes, thank you.
Okay. No, I'm open to any suggestions, and I'm excited for winter school to share things afterwards with you. If we got a few minutes.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm in class with Tom Saturday, Sunday, Monday this weekend. So it's super exciting. And I've taken 110 classes um, in with Tom and his team and over the years, and it's been amazing. And you might think, well, why take so many classes? There was always more stuff to learn, and I always felt like I was in the middle of a Dan Brown novel, like, oh my God, what's next? And just all sorts of things. And we would hear things about bone bruises. I remember one time, and I think it might have been the very first class I took. And then Sharon told the story of like, then it showed up in a TV show, Friends, that they talked about Ross, I guess, hurt his hand and got, the doctor said, oh, you have a bone bruise. And Sharon was like, oh my God, they're talking about what we're talking about. And she saw a few studies in the medical literature about bone bruises with the new MRIs. And then it became a thing. But Sharon found it first. And so it was super exciting to be in that moment. And there's been times when I just go, okay, this is where I got to go to learn the next level of what I'm here to learn. And when I first got into the Tom G. Mateo world and integrated manual therapy world, it was one of those things like, okay, I mean, the very first time I met you guys, I was like, can you come do this at my clinic? And we instantly set up 4 or 5 times a year for your team to come out. And I started traveling every month. And we had continuing education for all of our therapists, and we put them on that path. And I could just feel that there was something here. And then when Sharon, and then when Kim Burnham came out to our clinic, she kept telling us, oh, just take matrix energetics because it's mind-blowing fun. That's what she would say with her little twinkle in her eye look that she had. And so I remember when she brought me Yoda, she came to the clinic and she would do she'd do 2 weeks. And there was, she always liked to test and retest because we always like to test and retest. And there was one woman who had I'll just say a post-polio thing, polio. She had got it from the vaccine many years ago as a little girl, and she couldn't use her arms. And so Kim was taking videos, and she couldn't move her arm up to her mouth. And even if she was laying on her side, she couldn't move her arm up to her mouth. And at the end of the 2 weeks, she had her videoed, and she was moving her hand up to her arm. I mean, her hand up to her mouth. And I remember asking Kim, like, when am I going to get to be able to do what you do? Because I was taking integrated manual therapy, and we were doing great work with people. But there she was. She seemed to just be sitting at the edge of this woman's table. You know, we had a clinic with four treatment tables in the big room, and she was just holding on to her arm, not seeming to do anything. And then she would retest, and the woman was better. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing? And she goes, oh, Ralph, I said, when am I going to get to do what you do? And she said, you already know how to do it. You just don't know it yet. And I'm like, ah. And so then I took Matrix Energetics that weekend, and it was another game changer. And so I thought, this is an idea. And so I could run it by you and see what you think. About a month ago, I fell, and it was a hard fall. I was like, it was crazy. I don't know what that was all about. But I was in my road running shoes, which are very slick on the bottom, no nubbies. And I was on a trail, but it was wet, but it was like, it was an okay trail. I should have been just fine. But I saw a puddle, and I went off to the side, and I hit some mud, and I went down really hard on my shoulder. And I worked on it some, and I took a few days off, and I can run, but it's still painful. And I'm doing some IMT to it, but it's hard to do it when you only have one hand, when you do that kind of model. And so I've been using it as a matrix energetics thing, and it's getting better and better and better. And I'm not concerned, like I'm going to have, it's not like I'm worried long-term, but I thought it might be kind of fun to have Tom diagnose, or like say, hey, here's what I see, here's what I see, here's what I see. And then I can load it up into Yoda and see what happens. And of course, also have the plan to like work on myself, and through the weekend I'm going to be with Tom, and then we can recheck it after the hour or after the 30 minutes here, and then over the week, and just play with it and see, because I've seen so many changes with integrated manual therapy, and I've seen so many changes with matrix energetics, and the combination has been really cool. And I thought it might be kind of fun just to test it, because it's sometimes people think, like I have a client that wants to go visit Tom, but she lives in Bellingham, and I don't think she's over there yet. So it's like, we wanted to see, like, what's the next level of healing? Can we have this vision to have integrated manual therapy, a whole center, where if you have a problem, you can show up and just come get help. But what if you're around the world and you need help right now, and energetically, it's like Sharon used to get on the phone with us from all over the world, and if we had a problem, we would call her, and she would say, okay, here's what's going on. And then we would then have to go fix it up, in her words, in person, like hands-on. But if you can see it at a distance, can it just correct at a distance? So I'm kind of interested in that, and possibly playing with it. Just your thoughts on if you want to kind of take a look and see what you think, and we can play and just kind of
Okay.
go from there.
So, I've been witness to a lot of forms of healing, and it depends on a few topics. There's prayer that can help people. Matrix energetic can help people. It's the connection with the healer themselves. So there's another group called Healers Who Share that use energetic waters to do things. There's always 10% of any system you learn that it's not the right puzzle for that person. And that's something that integrated manual therapy really wants to say, is we can't fix everybody all the time. And sometimes you need a little bit. And the question is, how do we do it faster, and how do we categorize it so that we can figure out what that person needs? Is it energetic? Is it spiritual? Is it physical? Is it water? Is it nutrition? And try to do it better, faster, and more energetic at each of those pieces. And, so there's always a part where you have to seek out what the person is asking at the same time. Okay.
What the person is asking at the same time.
Seeking at the same time, right? Or asking for. So are we able to help them? And I know I've seen some of the work that you've done, Ralph, and it's amazing how people have changed with the distance healing pieces, but there's still some times where you get, no, it has to be moved. You got to physically move it.
So with you, man. It's like sometimes it's just you got to change a toxin thing that they're doing, and other times it's like it really helps to have. I've got a client right now that is local, but she's been doing over Zoom, and I'm thinking, I think it would be useful to come in person and see me next week. There's something about, sometimes you just got, there's times when I work on my boys, I'll just do it at a distance because they don't want me to like work on them. And other times it's like, okay, they're asleep. Let me put my hands on them and work on them. So, yeah.
Okay. So what are you experiencing when you fell on the mud? How did you land? Did you land forward? Did you land sideways? Did you land backwards? What arm reached out? Or how?
Yeah. What I think happened, I think I hit maybe with my right foot, but it went out from under me really quick, somewhat sideways. I got a little sore on my wrist, so I hit for sure like this, but I also feel like I just hit very forcefully just on the whole side, like as a football player or something, like just hitting, like almost went like sideways and then down.
Mm-hmm.
And also must have had my hand out, it stretched a little bit.
Okay. So the two spots that I still see is your scaphoid here, and also a retraction of the clavicle. It's like telescoped in and moved over. And I'm using this hand. And so you got the compression here, but you also got a compression here. So if you just take your finger so you can touch your scaphoid.
Oh, okay. Like take the other hand to touch my scaphoid?
No, use your third finger.
Oh, third finger, okay.
And then feel the clavicle on the right side and see which one inhibitory balances between them.
The scaphoid changes the clavicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would start to do a bone bruise of the scaphoid first. And then also you got a shear of your glenohumeral head in that when you were starting to release the scaphoid.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've been working on a lot of shears and bone bruises in that humerus. It's been crazy. So yeah, so I'll just do a little bone bruise to this. I know people are going to wonder, um, did you see it with your eyes? Did you sense it? Did you just get a message from God? How did you know that there was like you listened a little bit to the history and then
Yeah.
you right to my wrist, my hand and my clavicle and my upper arm bone. What's your experience of that? Like, how did you know?
Well, if you really dissected your face and your shoulders and how you're holding your shoulder up in the area and how your hands are moving, you know, after you learn the sensation of a bone bruise, and you start to watch how muscles and tissues protect that piece, you could actually see them through clothing, right?
Yeah.
So we always say we're always observing before and afterwards. We always stand the person up. We always walk them. We always bend them, and we watch before and afterwards. And eventually, you start to see what a crumbled bone bruise feels like in the area.
And then you can just sense it or know it, or you can even see it through clothes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, like right now, even while you're doing this, your right shoulder is a little bit lower than your left shoulder.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing more, your whole face has sort of a banana shape to the right. So it's curved this way a little bit.
Yeah.
The way you're holding your cheekbones and everything else. So all that mean when you're working on body work, when you see it decompress and get back to normal, those can be a number of different factors. And then and so I always call the first year or two of learning integrative manual therapy is wax on, wax off, like the Karate Kid. You got to do 10. And by the time you do your 11th, you're going to go say, oh, this part of that step doesn't really need to be needed. I can move on to the next step. And that's just like, how do you ride a bicycle or how do you drive a car? And,
Yeah.
the first days you were driving a car, you held on really tight. And now you can hold it with 2 fingers and play with the mirror with the other hand at the same time. So it's always, how do you get that competency? It's repetition and recovery. So it is, I still feel it's a physical ability to do that. And if you're a mechanic, you could look at a tire, and I had a really good mechanic come in, and I've used this twice, and they said, well, I can just put my hand on the tire and tell how the alignment of the car is at the same time.
Wow. Yeah. How's it doing?
How's it feel to you? It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it feels different. Yeah, it feels different. My hand feels way different. Let me see. I didn't check. Let me just check this. Yeah, the external rotation is easier. This is
All right, and so that other mechanism of the way you fell, Ralph, the coracoid process of the scapula is also, right in. Go a little bit down, a little bit more inferior, right in there. You can catch the tip of the coracoid process, and that's sheared off a little bit there too. So if you put your right hand on your heart and you move the aorta slightly right, it will be changing. There you go.
Yeah. Interesting. Moving the aorta slightly right. Isn't that interesting?
So now you're actually opening your descended carotid artery. So you're getting a little blood flow, and people can see your face shape is changing. You're less bananaed. You're going into that nice delta state.
Yeah, I feel it.
So the interesting thing is when we teach people these information, that word that I said of a bone bruise or a descended carotid is hours and hours of study with us.
Yeah.
That wisdom that you have helps you address very specifically the anatomy tools different than just putting your hand over your shoulder blade.
Right? Yeah, you can pick up information.
And your touch is so much different because I keyed you into the fine points of those words.
Yeah, it's interesting how if you think about the heart and the aorta, your hand goes softer, deeper without pushing. And
no, and it's the awareness that you can change. If you imagine people's bodies as layers of balloons inside of each other, and I would be, having somebody put their fingers on the cheekbone, and I would go down and feel the tensile patterns and pull on one toe and say, now can you feel that cheekbone moving up and down up here? And they go, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's, how do you get there is, well, let me break it down step by step. And it's, this body isn't really a mystery. It's just taking the time to understand it. And just like vocabulary words and writing and spelling and all those pieces, you didn't start off learning, a big word.
Yeah.
Or through sentence structure, you learned off how to, call a cat, and then how to spell a cat, and then putting together. But there's nothing that isn't been in literature for a long time that's of super mystery. And even part of the Matrix, like you said, wasn't really a mystery. It's already, it, but how do you put it together?
Yeah. I remember
How's that feeling for you?
I think it was before I even, like the week before I took the first IMT class, I was in Albuquerque taking an advanced visceral class from Frank Lowen, and he showed us a rotated vertebrae. He had his fingers on like somewhere in the lower thoracic spine, and then he put his hand on their hand and kept manipulating his forces through the person's hand, and the little vertebrae started rotating, and then we heard a little pop.
That's the coolest thing about learning these systems, right? So how you touch it, where you touch it. And there's amazing bunch of systems out there, but I always like the person or the healer that keeps asking questions instead of saying, well, they just didn't do what I said. Right?
Yeah, for sure. There's a technique, the descended phenomena technique, and Joe Keeney showed me a kind of a combination thing that he was using. He was doing some kind of like, I think it was from you guys, from Frank Lowen, might have been from Functional Indirect too. And he used I used the third finger and the thumb, like in the neurofascial holding on the ankles, and do a little pumping action from the bottom towards the top, like superiorly, just below the malleoli, the ankles. And while that's pumping, then set up a 3-planar fulcrum direct to the fibula, then the ischial tuberosity, inferior lateral angle of the of the sacrum, L5, the kidney, the lungs, the cranial base, and do it on both sides. And then set up fulcrums of the temporal bone, and between the pons and the medulla, and between the pons and the dens, and between L5 and the coccyx. And I remember I was working on Jen's dad once. We used to work with him in person, and then he went back to Indiana, and he said, I still want to work with you. So I was working with him every day, and I did that technique on just one side of his body. And then I said, okay, walk around, see how it feels. And he was really loose on that side of the body. And then the other side, then he was really loose on that side. And I started learning that, wow, if I've got a good feel for how this feels in person, and I was doing it for real, like I was doing it totally visualizing him and doing the pumping, and I felt the still point, and it's like I got more like, wow, you can do these at a distance, although it's really fun to do them in person. And sometimes I do think it's super useful to do it in person compared to at a distance.
That was a nice breath.
It feels pretty darn good. Let me have you take a look and see what you think. I'll check at this. That external rotation.
Stand up and take a walk to the door and come back. That way you can put it all into your body.
Yeah. Something I learned from Kim is to walk backwards, because it's like you're not used to it. So I'll do that and see how it feels. Okay. This is one of the ones that I didn't test this beforehand, but this does this. Well, that's a little better, but that's as far as I can go, as far as like.
Yeah. So your second and third rib up here, Ralph, still have some bone bruises in them. So why don't you stand up for a second again and do that little teacup action
Okay.
on that side. Okay, so now take your left hand and put it up onto the second and third ribs and move them superior a little bit. And try the teacup action now.
That's a little better.
Go down about a ½ inch and a little bit more medial. Come medial a little bit right there. Now do superior lift. Oh, okay. Go back up a ½ inch up. Right there. Now try it again.
I mean, it's a little
Does
better.
that hurt at all, Ralph?
Yeah, it hurts like right through here.
Okay, so that's that horizontal bone bruise.
It's like right in here.
Yeah.
Okay, let me work on that a bit.
So just feel if that goes to your MCA or not.
It's funny, it feels like it goes to the left one.
Yeah, now that's the motor cortex right in there. Yeah.
Yeah, like right in there.
Okay, so fix the bone bruise at that point in your scalp,
Okay.
Ralph.
Right.
Fix the bone bruise up here. Yeah.
Oh, the bone bruise up here.
Yeah, you can let go of the shoulder.
Yeah. Okay.
Take a deep breath in too. That will help you calm that down.
Do you notice sometimes you set up a bone bruise fulcrum and then it seems like it changes and it's like then you need to kind of set it up again in a different kind of orientation?
Yeah, well, it depends on how many bone bruises you have in that same space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
So sometimes we have accidents to actually put in more energy in our body.
I wondered about that because I fell a couple of years before that, really weird little falls twice in a row on a run in the exact same spot in the yard. And it hurt in here, and it felt like it was like some sort of old grief pattern thing that it was either protecting me from or showing me or something.
Breathe again. Now that shoulder's actually starting to rise up and come back in the socket better.
Oh, wow. I felt that actually. Sometimes it's absolutely useful to have other eyes on it instead of yourself, you know, like
Very healing.
yeah, I kept dowsing and finding stuff in my upper arm and in my rib cage and under my collarbone and the arteries and all these little rhythms, we call them PFMs, coming up out of that whole area. And but it's like if you're not getting to the one that's primary, it can just keep kind of hanging around. How does it look to you?
Looks pretty good. How's it feel?
It feels definitely different, better. Let's see.
Take that backward walk again.
Yeah, it's swinging a little easier, more naturally. Let's see. It's gonna, it doesn't hurt. It
Yeah.
doesn't. It moves a little freer. It's still got the thing where it's like a little funny, but it doesn't have that hurt.
Maybe one more before we have to go. So go down to your lateral collateral ligament on your knee.
Wow. On the right leg?
Yeah.
Okay. Like ligament fiber therapy, or?
Find what you find in there. It could be a bone bruise. It could be a little bit of a tear.
It's a little disruption in the membrane.
Mhm.
I'll do, let me just do this. Okay. I don't feel the disruption of membrane.
Okay. Give that one a try.
It probably hangs nicer.
It looks better.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Hurting before. I mean, I know it doesn't look that much looser, but it feels like there's a few degrees of easier to try to get it in position. So I'll keep working on it. So I was using that synchronizer. I think it's the superior greater trochanter to Dallas.
Yeah.
Uses, but for some reason I kind of kept hanging around here to work on myself. It's like, it's so interesting how to open up, and like it could be as far away as something in your knee or something in the top
Right.
of your head. It's so wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know this stuff, but even so, it's like
It always amazes me too.
yeah, it's like I tell you, if we lived in, well, I don't want to anyway, yeah, if you're anywhere in the world and need some help, find a way to West Hartford, Connecticut. And yeah, thank you, Tom. That was awesome, man. It'll be great to see you this weekend. And
Okay.
I'll just talk to everybody a little bit at the end to kind of give them more info.
All right, Ralph. Have a good day.
Have a good one, man. All right, you guys. So that's Dr. Tom Giammatteo, naturopath, chiropractor, physical therapist, acupuncturist, and co-developer of integrated manual therapy, doing a little demo, and definitely helped me with my shoulder. I'm going to work on it more, and I'm in class with him all weekend long, so super excited about that. It'll be, I guess, technically class 110, 111, but I've been working with him every week here and there on little impromptu healing sessions. So learning from him continuously since February of 2000. So reach out to him at imtwellnesscenter.com, and he'll do a 15-minute consult with you, imtwellnesscenter.com, and let you know if he thinks he can help you and steer you towards healing stuff. And reach out to me at a couple of different places, autoimmuneanswers.com, and also for the entrepreneurs looking to crush imposter syndrome and anxiety, ralphhavens.com/crush imposter syndrome. So find us on the internet, Facebook, click like, click share. Let's help the whole world. Let's heal yourself and heal the world. Click like, click share, subscribe on YouTube. Let's get this message of healing out to the world. And I will see you guys next week.